All right, let's move on to metrics. Now, you saw that like you can have row vectors or you can have column vectors, right? Matrix is something you will have if you have multiple rows like of a row vector. You can just stack them together, and that will give you a matrix. And in case of vectors, either m or n was 1, but in this case, it will be like greater than 1. But again, if it's 1, that's also a matrix. It's just like you can say a row matrix or column matrix, right? So a matrix will have m rows and n columns. And if n is 1, you can say that that's like kind of just a vector, which is a row vector. And if m is 1, you can say that it's just a column vector. All right, so that's a matrix. You will have like some rows, you will have some columns. And yeah, we covered that a row vector is a matrix with just a single row, and column vector is a matrix with single column. Now let's try to understand where matrix can be useful. We talked about grayscale in the previous lecture, and if you remember, like for grayscale, we needed an array to store the pixel values, and for each pixel we had just one number because it was a grayscale image, different from like RGB where we have 3 numbers. So what we can do is, if we have a grayscale image, we can just store that as a matrix. It could be n cross m. So n represents like how many pixels you will have in the rows in the height, and m represents how many pixels you will have in the width of the image. Okay, so let's look at this image. You have seen this before. So Daud, can you please stop annotating the screen? Thank you. I'll have to figure out how to stop that. Sorry about that. Okay, so given this image, if we just look at this patch as we were doing earlier, if you try to visualize, it will be something like this. And you need a matrix to store this. So this is going to be a matrix, and at each location, you will have some number, which indicates like what is the grayscale value at this location. Okay, so similar to like you can, the way you can store like this patch as a matrix, you can store like the whole image as a matrix. And of course, that matrix is going to be huge because you have a lot of pixels here. Now that was grayscale image, and of course you can extend that to like RGB images or colored images. The only difference will be you will have 3 numbers per pixel. So in this case, the matrix will be n m cross 3. So it will be not 2-dimensional matrix. It is going to be a 3-dimensional matrix. Okay. And what's going to happen is, for each channel, you need 1 matrix, and you can just stack them together in the 3rd dimension, which will give you like this 3rd axis over here. Okay, so now you know like how the images are stored in memory. Now let's try to understand some of the operations which can be performed on matrices. The basic one is addition. You can of course add 2 different matrices. The requirement is the shape of or the dimensionality of those matrices should be equal. In this case, it's a 2 cross 2 matrix. If you're adding another matrix to it, it should it should also be 2 cross 2. Right? And the way it works is you just do element-wise addition. So for each location, you just add the corresponding values from these 2 matrices. Right? So both the matrices should have same shape. And so this is a special case where you can also add scalars through your matrices. And what will happen in this case is this scalar will be added to all the values in this matrix. And this is just a representation, but what's internally happening is this 2 is being converted to a 2 cross 2 matrix, and then you're performing the addition. And same is like true for subtraction as well. Now this is now becoming interesting because now we are moving on to like operations which we can perform on images. So scaling is the first. Let's say you have a 2 cross 2 matrix, and when I say images, because in this case it's a 2 cross 2 matrix, but essentially you can have like a bigger matrix which represents an image. Of course, it will be not 2 cross 2, it really might be 500 cross 500 depending upon how many pixels you have, but you will still be able to perform this operation. So this operation is called scaling. And what's happening here is you are multiplying one number with all the values in that matrix, or it could be an image as well, right? So you can see like S is being multiplied with all the pixel values. So if you think about this, if you perform this scaling operation on your image, then you're changing the color of the pixels. Okay, if it's just intensity, let's say you're saying if it's a grayscale image, then you're kind of increasing the intensity of the pixels. So that's scaling. Then Hadamard product, this not very much relevant for image processing, but later when we talk about deep learning, I think this operation is used a lot. And the idea here is simple, like you were doing addition before, you were just doing element-wise addition, right? In this case, it's just element-wise multiplication. And if you think about this and try to correlate this to scaling, this is essentially performing scaling, but for each location, you have a different scaling factor. Okay, so if you replace like everything in this matrix with S, then these two operations are essentially the same. Transpose we have talked about earlier when we were talking about vectors. Your row vector will become column and column will become row. It's almost similar here as well. So your matrix is going to be switched. So these locations, if you look at the subscripts here, so this is A11, and you will just swap these subscripts. So if you swap 1 with 1, it's not going to change. So it's at the same location. But if you try to swap here, so it's A1n, so n will become 1 and 1 will become n. So this number will come right over here at the bottom. Okay. Similarly with other, like you just, you can say like swap values across this diagonal. All right, so let's move on to a matrix operation. So this is matrix multiplication, and this is, I think, very interesting, and I think you should know this, how this works. And most of you might remember this from your high school maths. The idea here is you have two different matrices, and what you're going to do is you are going to do operation between the rows and columns of these matrices to obtain another matrix. And there are a lot of representations of this. I will try to cover two of these, which I find very interesting. Before going to that, let's just try to understand the basic operation which is happening. So let's say we have a matrix A. So in this case, we have 4 different rows and we have 2 different columns. And we have a different matrix which has 2 rows and 3 columns. One thing to note is you can't just multiply any 2 matrices. For example, for addition, they have to be compatible, right? They should have the same shape. Similar to that, matrix multiplication, we need these matrices to be compatible. And if the shape is similar, of course, they are compatible. But even if the shape is not similar, they can be compatible. So the criteria is the number of columns you have in the first matrix. In this case, it's 2, first column and second column. It should be equal to number of rows you have in the second matrix. In this case, it's 2. Okay, so that's why these 2 matrices are compatible, even though the shape is not similar. A more generalized form, you can say that if the first matrix is M cross N, M represents number of rows, N represents number of columns, and the second matrix is N cross P. N is number of rows and P is number of columns. So M and P can take any value, but whatever value N has, it should be same for these 2 matrices. Okay, so that's the only condition. And the resultant will be like a M cross P matrix. We just omit the N in between, which was common between these 2. Now, let's try to understand the operation. So in this case, based on this, the resultant matrix of these 2, multiplication of these 2 matrices will be, you can see like it will have 3 rows, which is coming from A, and it will have 3 columns, which is coming from this, right? Because M is 3 here and P is also 3 here. So this is the resultant matrix. And oh, sorry, no, it's not 3, it's 4. So 4 rows. So we'll have 4 rows and 3 columns. Right? So now let's try to understand from where like each of these values are coming. So if we need value for this location, so this is first row and second column, right? That's the identity of this location. So it will get values from first row of A and second column of B. So the rows corresponds to the first matrix and column corresponds to the second matrix. And what we do is, since the number of elements in the row will be equal to number of elements in the column because of this condition here, we can just take element-wise multiplication of these two, which means that the value here will be A11 multiplied by B11, and then we add that to A11 multiplied by B22. Similarly, like we can get values for all the locations in this matrix. So for example, if we talk about this one, so we'll have to multiply this row with this column. Okay, so that's the mathematical operation, but let's now try to understand like a more physical meaning of this. Now, before that, let's first try to represent these matrices as columns. For example, let's say A is the matrix, and so of course, like it will have certain number of columns, right? So we denote like each column as AI, and which is like the ith column of A. And again, we can also represent matrix B as Bj, like a set of columns, where Bj is like the jth column. And in that scenario, A can be represented as this vector over here, right? So this is a vector of column vectors. AI is a column over here. It's a column vector. And again, A2 is a column vector. So you will have these column vectors, which represents A. Similarly, you will have these column vectors, B1, B2, Bn, which represents B. Okay, so let's try to multiply A with B. Now, when we are multiplying A with B, again, it is going to be a matrix, right? And we know the shape of it. Whatever the shape is, the first column of this matrix is going to be a linear combination of these columns. I will talk about what linear combination means, but first try to understand that where the values are coming for the first column of AB. It's coming from all the columns of A. So all these values are being used when we try to generate that column. And as I said, like we are taking linear combination, which means that we will take some portion of A1, we will take some portion of A2, and so on and so forth, right? All the way up to AN. So we take like some magnitude of these two, sum them together, that's going to be the column of AB. Now the question is, what is that amount? That amount is going to be the values which are coming from this column vector B1. And we know that the number of rows in B should be equal to number of columns in A, which means that for all these column vectors, we'll have one value in B1, right? So the first value will be used to scale the column vector A1. Okay, so that's the component coming from A1. Similarly, the second value in B1, that's going to scale the second column vector A2. And at the end, we just add those. Okay, so this is A1 times B11. This B11 is coming from the first element of this column. And this is going to be the first column of this matrix when A is multiplied with B. And similarly, you can get the rest of the columns. Okay, the second column will be, again, a linear combination of all these columns, but the combination will be decided by the second column vector of B. For example, if we use the scaling vectors from Bm, then that column vector will be the mth column vector of AB. Okay, so basically, when you multiply two matrices, the resultant matrix will have like a set of columns, and each column is going to be a linear combination of all the columns of matrix A. Okay, so that's one way of representing it. So let's try to understand with this figure if it's not clear. This is your first matrix A, this is the second matrix B, and this is the resultant matrix. All right, here we can see that number of columns, it's 3 here, and it's equal to number of rows in B. Okay, so the first column here, it is going to be a linear combination of all 3 columns. Okay, so what we do is, since this is the first column, we take the weights from this first column here. So we take the first value, we scale the first column. If we take the second value, we scale the second column. Third value, scale the third column, and just add them together. That's going to give you the first column. All right. Similarly, you can get the rest of the 3 columns. So that was like linear combination of columns from first matrix, but we can do the opposite as well. We can take the linear combination of rows as well. But this time the rows will not be coming from A, the rows will be coming from B. And it's almost similar. The idea here is each row of this resultant matrix is a linear combination of all the rows of B. And from where the weights are coming? The weights are coming from the rows of A. Okay, so if you take like the first row, 3, 4, sorry, the columns of A. So if we take the first row, right, so we'll have to multiply it with this first number, right? That's a weight for first. This is going to be the weight for the second one. And this is going to be the weight for the third one. And that's going to be your first row for this. And so on and so forth. You can just do that for the other rows as well. And later you will see like why this representation is very useful. I will give you an intuition here. So earlier we were talking about bag of words representation, right? And there the idea was, let's say if you have a representation for I, or you could have a representation of lips, right? And if these rows are, let's say, feature vectors, which usually are when you work in like classical computer vision, then if one of these rows, let's say, are representing eyes, some of these are representing nose, then to represent a full object, we might want to take some kind of linear combination of those features, right? For example, we have to construct a face, we have like 2 eyes, we have a nose, and so that's like just a high level intuition, but that's where this representation is very useful when we try to multiply 2 different matrices. Okay.